to, oh, thank you. Please turn Wi-Fi off so that you don't cut down the bandwidth and the people in the Zoom audience can't see. We are wearing masks. So
David, microphone. Microphone. Hold it up.
Weird, it was working before. Well, we'll just keep plowing forward and they'll yell microphone a lot. When you are not actively eating, please have your mask. And this would be the time for your mask to be on. Take it off again, don't forget when it's time to eat or pour in coffee. Otherwise, we do have spares for you. I've got one right here. Sky Hensey, time for the pledge. Okay, everybody, raise the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Scott.
Oh, yeah.
Singing through the masks.
Here we go, singing through the mask.
There you go.
Bringing in the sheet. That's all right. Nice. We'll celebrate Veterans Day by celebrating the flag with either Grand Old flag or your Grand Old flag. Ready? Your Grand Old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue, where there's never a boast or brag. Should all the acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the Grand Old flag.
From a guy who definitely does need a mic. Hey, the handheld I've got here might be a little high in terms of volume. And thank you to, did I miss a slide there? Yep, thank you to our greeter, Anna Booker. Thank you, that was lovely. And Gus for coming in and setting up, and Bob Keys is going to be taking things down. So, wow, we left all of the tables up this time, and it looks good. I must say, folks, you look marvelous. So, thought for the day, Rod McCulley.
Mary and I have been thinking about getting old and looking at some brochures for retirement communities. And I was struck, they're big glossy things with pictures, lots of pictures of gray-haired, athletic-looking people grinning like idiots. And they go on and on about how wonderful their place is. And it struck me that what was going on here was they're going to amuse you until you die. All that's left in life is to be amused until you die. And once you pay in, sooner the better, probably. And I got to thinking about, I'm too busy to go be amused. And so part of my life, because I have a life, is Rotary. And people in Rotary are more alive and are enriched by sharing with one another and more fully human. So let's keep it going.
Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, visitors and guests. Who has a guest at their table and would like to introduce them? How about Terry? Yes.
Yes. Our guests today are Speaker Fred Pachuca, did I get that right? Close enough, Fred, and his guest Terry. Terry, never learned your last name.
Terry
McNeil.
Terry McNeil and I go way back. We're almost family. Family lived next door to each other for many years. And let's see. We have John Grick. Back again for another round, looking very professorial. Good morning, John. Yeah, sorry, you're good, you're good. Okay, and Linda Taylor. Nick, do you want to introduce Linda Taylor?
We have Linda Taylor with us this morning for the 4th time. Hey, Linda.
And we did warn Linda that she's sitting at a table that can get a little raucous, so, you know, hopefully that'll all work out. And anybody else here in the audience before we go to the folk on Zoom? They are. Good morning, Judy Rice, good to see you. You're on mute, but we love you. Barbara Barney, hello. And Ray Giampoli, president of Rotary Club of Santa Rosa. Ray, we're going to have a moment for you to make an announcement in a little bit. Good morning now, and good morning, Jim. So here we are, folks. Let's see what's on the next slide. Oh, yeah, it's time to mute all those guys so that they don't bark and dog, you know, whatever.
And in the meantime, I wanted to learn a little bit more about domestic violence, and so I went ahead and I applied with the YWCA as a domestic violence advocate, and I got hired there, but that only lasted about a few weeks because then I got called in from the courthouse saying that they wanted to hire me as a courtroom clerk, and so I went through that process, quit my job at Legal Aid, quit my job at Council on Aging, and then told the YWCA that I couldn't go work for them anymore. And so then I started working with the Superior Court of Sonoma County in the criminal division with Judge Simons, Judge Simons in Department 9, Judge Marcoida doing domestic violence cases there in Department 4. So then, in February of this year, I got a call from my brother. I was in the courthouse where they had told me that my sister of 35 years old had passed away. At the time, I didn't know how she passed away, but we found out that it possibly may have been suicide. And now that I look at, when I think back on her life, I realized that she had a mental health illness that went unlooked and untreated, and no one really paid attention to that aspect of her life. And I'm Mexican, my whole entire family is Mexican, and we just don't talk about mental health illness. And so Hazel has put a big focus on mental health illness for me now, because the last conversation I had with her, which was in December 5th, I was too busy to talk to her. And one of the things she said to me was that she was tired of fighting with people. I ended up telling her, I'll call you tomorrow. Well, tomorrow never came. And so I never got to say goodbye to her. But the one thing she did was, I didn't want to work for the court anymore. There was no purpose there. I wasn't doing really anything for people. So I wanted to go back to what I learned with legal aid, what I learned with Council on Aging and the YWCA, and that is to give back to people so that something like this doesn't happen again. And I will never be too busy to listen to anyone talk to me again, ever again. And so with that, that's the reason why I'm here with West County Community Services. After finding out that I don't want to work for the court anymore, I needed to find a job doing something that I like, but something that paid equivalent to what I was making at the courthouse. And so West County Community Services had a job posting for outreach community manager, and I said, why not? I'll apply for it and see what happens. And I interviewed with Tim Miller, and they went ahead and hired me. I'm very thankful because they have a great peer support program that I love promoting. One of the centers that I like promoting is the center here in Santa Rosa, which is the Wellness and Advocacy Center. They there support about, I think they see about 70 homeless people, throughout the month. They have washers and dryers and showers and peer supporters that can help people like my sister through their overwhelming feelings. And so this is why I'm here at the Rotary Club, you guys. I need to learn how to help people, how to support people, how to be there for the community so that another human being doesn't die of suicide because no one was there to talk to them. Okay, so that's me. That's
Oh, yeah, I want to see the kids. Yeah.
They're musicians, and they present locally. And this Friday at the Epic Center, they have a performance. Their names are Andrew Elijah Booker, that's my oldest, and my youngest is Caleb Jeremiah. But they don't like going by their first names; they like going by their stage names, which is the eldest is called Mystic Misfit, and the youngest is called Zen Carta. And you will hear their names out locally because they've been performing for the past 2 years now locally. So, yeah, I have sons.
Good. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for all of that. So glad you're with us. Okay. Couple of birthday boys. And Dan, you're in the room, and your twin brother by a different mother is online.
Yes, that's true.
Tell us about how you're celebrating. You're celebrating already. Look at you.
Oh, yeah. So Jim and I have been celebrating our birthdays together for 25, almost 30 years, something like that. And so we had a nice meal at the new Thai restaurant up there, which was very good. And then we went to the symphony and used yours and Susan's tickets
Yep.
see fantastic klezmer clarinetist with the symphony. And then after the intermission was Linsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade. Marvelous evening. Always great to share with Jim. Where is he? There he is.
Well, happy birthday this coming week, and glad you're here. So, Michael McLaughlin had his birthday yesterday. You're eating the leftovers from his cake. Good restraint on your part, Michael, not to eat all of that. And do you want to notice that the kids are kind of styling the hair with Joe? What's the deal, Joe?
Well, this goes to show you the universe evens out. You know, I've lost 8 days.
Oh,
The matter cannot be created or destroyed, something like that, I don't know. But there they are, they're doing great, they were born, well, we talked about this last week, Friday.
yeah, let's see names. Who's who?
Okay, on the left is, Scott Glenn Faden, we call him Great Scott. And on the right is Claire Mary Faden, we call her Fair Claire.
Oh, lovely. Did you know and named after our Scott Kinsey? I mean, that's what I would do. Okay, and there you guys were out hiking and having a good time, looking out over the great horizons. I hear that people are still sore from that event. Where were you again? Weren't you up on top of Mount Taylor? And I saw a little video online that shows the view from up there. It looks fabulous. So next Monday morning, people are going out, right? There you go. Wait, what's this? Terry?
Yes,
Or
David.
should I say Harvey?
Yeah, thank you. That's one of these young people won't know what that means. Yeah, that's a picture of me and a girl I met many years ago. This was at UC Davis, and I think we went that night to see Cheech and Chong dressed like the bunny. So very memorable evening.
Okay. Oh, so there's an element of White Rabbit in it, right?
Apparently, yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Terry. And by the way, does that work with girls? Apparently so. So, Diana Curtis shared something that I think you would all like to know, this being Veterans Day. Found amongst his personal things with his high school picture, thought to have been written outside of Tokyo on his way to the Korean War when he was a kid, our own Curtis. And Michael Fells is going to read the poem that he left.
Thank you, David. At Christmas time is drawing near, and I'm so far from all of you so dear, I sit and wonder every night if what us boys are doing is right. It isn't much to ask a man for several years out of his plan. If out of this men would learn you can't get things for which you yearn by stealing from your fellow man and destroying everything you can. But soon as things have cooled down and men are back in their hometown, up storms another just like the rest to conquer the world by angry quest. So if you'll just remember up and say a little prayer for us each day, we'll each one try to do our best and hope that God will do the rest.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you, Diana. And thank you, Kurt. So tomorrow is Veterans Day, and this might be a good moment for us to recognize those who are veterans amongst us or those who were affected by being a family member with a veteran. So first of all, if you are a veteran of our armed forces, would you please just stand and be recognized? And if somebody in your family was a veteran, spouse, parent, child, please join me and also be recognized because you are a part of that support. Look at this, folks. Look at this. That's a lot of us, isn't it? So, thank you very much to all of you for your service, because those veterans who go and participate are so important, and the family who is with them and receives folk back from their service. I've never known a person who went into the service who did not come back a changed person. Some not for the better, some for the better. An attitude of gratitude permeates the room, does it not? So, if there is somebody who is wanting to make a contribution, don't let the crickets sing. Just step up and say, I want to.
In honor of Jim Goodenough and my birthday, I'll donate $100 to each, our club foundation and the Rotary Foundation.
Awesome! Thank you. You know, in some clubs they ring the bell. Should we have people go up and ring the bell when they do that? That's kind of cool. Anybody else? How we doing? Everybody's happy? So are we. Things coming up on the calendar. November 13th, roadside cleanup. That's this Saturday. What time? 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock sounds good to me. And did the Interact students get invited? Did that connect, or is that going to be a next time thing? They did get invited? Okay. So, John, you're here. I don't know if you're going to be seeing those students between now and then, or if you have a way to communicate, but 9 o'clock, and what do they want to bring? They want to bring sturdy shoes. They want to bring clothes for getting messy, because that is a tough job. We're going to run from High School Road all the way out to Occidental Road, and it's not just cigarette butts along there. There are amazing things for you to find, see, and go, well, that's a cultural artifact. And Monday morning hike, meet at the Hot Month Park parking lot. That's a weekly. Our board meeting, coming Monday, 15th, 5:30. It's on Zoom and it's on the calendar, so just link on there and show up, please. There's no in-person board meeting at this point. And November 17th is a special date for us to be doing, sorry, you say it.
Yeah, we'll be volunteering at the food pantry that day. We're going to do it jointly with the Rotary Club of Sebastopol and other folks if they care to join us. So we hopefully will have a good crowd. We had 8 from our club last time, and always should be a fun time. Yes, the sign up, the link is live on our calendar, and we'll also get it out in email. Thanks.
Oh, so you go to the calendar, tap on Saturday, tap on the link, go on out there and clean up. That would be great. Who all thinks they want to go? Who's in here? Give us Sam. Okay. And November the 24th, I want you to mark your calendars, because if you come up here and you knock on this door on that Wednesday, you can walk down the street, if they're open, and go to the Sebastopol Sunshine Cafe and eat with whoever else showed up. So hang out there if you show up and kind of just wait. Somebody else will show.
So in other words, there's no meeting.
Yeah.
So you need to say that.
Yeah.
There is no meeting now.
Do you get a makeup?
Yes, Jeff.
All right, so going back to the hike, on our way back down Taylor Mountain last Monday, what did we run into but these 2 older folks and their dog, Dewey and Susan?
Yeah, they have a microphone.
I know. And you know what, for us or for those people?
Yeah.
Oh, those people, I understand.
Yeah.
Anyway, on a positive note, so we got to talking, and Dewey, being who Dewey is, said, hey, why don't you guys come up on next Monday to St. Dorothy's Rest, which is a private, over 300-acre, within the redwood streams and waterfalls over there, and he's going to lead a hike for us. We're going to go a little bit later. We're going to leave St. Dorothy's Rest at 9:30, so that means we'll probably all meet here at Hot Monk around 9-ish next Monday, for those of you who are interested. Now, we leave promptly on time, so if we say 9 and you show up at 9:01, we're out of here. We're gone. So if you're going to join us, let us know that, number 1. Number 2, we leave promptly on time to carpool out of here at Palma. So, got it?
Yes, thank you. 9 o'clock. Somebody alter the calendar because it's already up on the calendar there. All right. So, Carrie, do you think they got it? Don't come next week.
Can't say it enough.
Okay.
Because we're gonna put a note on there that says call David. We'll put a note on the front door that says, if you hear the door's locked, call David, and here are all his numbers.
Yeah. Show up at my house for breakfast. That sounds good.
Will you have your gimbal?
Huh?
Will you have your gimbal?
Oh, yeah. We'll do everything. Everything to make you not want to show up in person.
David, is it next week it starts or the following week?
Oh.
You said next week, and it's not next week. It's gonna be-
Yeah. I make a mistake a lot. Thank you. Yeah, maybe showing up next week would be a good thing. The speaker would appreciate it, and we'd all be here, and it would be great. Tell you what, let's put Thanksgiving off. Tell them that we canceled it next week, and we moved it to the week after because we had stuff to do. Announcements. We've got somebody in the audience that I know wants to make an announcement. So Ray, you still with us? Would you unmute yourself?
I am. Thank you, President David.
We're not hearing you yet.
I'm unmuted.
Hold on just a second.
Great.
Testing.
Tell Ray to talk.
Can you hear me now?
He's ready to talk.
Yes,
But
we don't know if he's on.
I'm here if you're here.
Ray,
Yes, I'm here.
okay, Ray, I think we're set.
You're all set. Okay. Hey, President David, is it okay if I share my screen?
Sure.
You're gonna have to.
Are you gonna share the flyer?
Yes, please.
I've got a copy of the flyer here.
Oh,
How
perfect.
about
Thank you so much. President David, thank you for giving me the time, and good morning to the Sunrise Sebastopol Rotary Club. My name is Ray Giampoli. I'm president of the Rotary Club of Santa Rosa. When I joined Rotary in 2013, part of the draw to Rotary was the opportunity that I saw of sharing my time, talents, and treasures with communities far and abroad, communities that are far less blessed than what we have to offer here in America. And so as president this year, it is my goal to do an international hands-on project, and we are inviting other local Rotarians to join us. March 23rd through the 28th, we are going down to Puerto Vallarta in cooperation with the Rotary Club of Puerto Vallarta Sur. We will be assembling family water filter kits and distributing them into a community just outside the city limits of Puerto Vallarta. Commonly they're known as the dump, but it is the Comunidad Magisteros, and it used to be the old landfill. And unfortunately now it's a place of poverty, destitution, and definitely underserved and in dire need. They do have a somewhat public water source, but the public water source that that community receives is not filtered. So we have space for Rotarians and guests. It's $16.50 per person double occupancy, which includes round trip airfare, 5 nights accommodation at an all-inclusive resort in the Marina District of Puerto Vallarta. Our agenda will be to fly in on Wednesday, attend the Puerto Vallarta Sur Rotary Club meeting on Thursday morning. Members of our host club will then give us a tour of the city and show us some of the projects that they have done locally. We'll have a small fiesta that evening, Thursday evening. Friday is work day, and we will be assembling anywhere from 50 to 100 water filter kits that go into a 5-gallon bucket. Saturday is distribution day, where we will meet the people that need our support. And we'll be handing out water filter kits and 5-gallon buckets. And we are working with the Rotary Club of Puerto Vallarta Sur for other needs that the community may have. We're thinking about shoes, project or possibly personal hygiene items for the community. Sunday is a free day to enjoy the sights of a beautiful city in Mexico, and Monday we'll be flying home. If you need additional information, there is a flyer that President David has. And also I will be putting my contact information in the chat to share with anybody. Deposits need to be received by December 13th. So if you are interested, you have time. All travel arrangements are being made through Trinette Nuremberg at Oakmont Travel. And President David, I want to thank you and thank the Rotary Club of Sebastopol Sunrise for the time to make this announcement. And I hope that you can join me and my wife on this Boots on the Ground International hands-on project where we can share our talents with that community and serve to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you very much. A very, very worthy cause, and I'm sure a very inspiring trip. I do know that club, and I personally have visited with them, and I do know that location that they are talking about, and your services would be really, really helpful to the people who are there. It's a community, but it's a challenge community. Oh, yes.
I just want to announce.
Hold on.
Okay.
Without a mic, you're just not the same.
I'm hoping that our Boy Scout troop that does the flags will get enough people because it's a school day to put the flag up on the street tomorrow for Veterans Day. But this Saturday is Scouting for Food Drive, or the Canned Food Drive. Is one of the largest community service projects that the Scouts do. And the troop here should be putting hangers on doors that says, you know, put it out in front at 9 o'clock on Saturday. But if you have a donation to make in a paper bag or whatever that I can pick up, just let me know and I'll pick it up and bring it over to the Scout office. So thank you. Thank you.
What do they like to talk about?
Canned food items that, you know, that are not, you know, sealed and obviously not. Protein probably. Protein products are the best.
Everything. Licorice too. Okay, so next week, Jane Burns is going to, who is an artist and a teacher, wife of a local Rotarian who actually is in a Petaluma Valley Club, I think, will be here to talk about a Sebastopol mural project. And now, our speakers, introduced by Terry Kelly.
Thanks, David. Yeah, I'm just gonna mess with you a little bit.
I can follow you.
I know you can. So just to be clear, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we don't meet.
Okay, thank you very much, Terry, and please sit down.
So today's program, Fred Chucha, I'm close, Fred, representing Veterans for Peace. His guest today is Terry, who's also a veteran. We stood up a few minutes ago, and if you were a veteran or had family that was, and in this meeting on Veterans Day in 2004, we brought in my wife's uncle, Uncle Roy Craddy, who was a Marine in Korea, suffered a, what should have been a life-changing injury. It was altering, but not changing, and that involved a landmine, and, an anti-tank mine, and he lost a leg. And so he's an advocate for Veterans for Peace, he's an advocate for the disabled veterans, and he's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy who lost their house in Paradise. And he's had 2 moves under his belt since in their mid-80s. So pretty resilient folks. So on to our speakers. Fred is an Eagle Scout from the state of Pennsylvania and earned 22 merit badges, which is one over the minimum. Me too. I have his bio has about 14, 15 bullet points, so we won't cover them all because we'll be here, we'll take it into time. But he's the founding president of the Veterans for Peace Chapter 71. I'm assuming that's Sonoma County. I brought the Vietnam Memorial to replica to the SRJC in 1986. Led the first citizens tour of the USSR, including home stays with Soviets in 1989. I started to tell you this club in the early 2000, no, the mid 90s, had an exchange with Rotary, with professionals, not Rotarians, from Siberia. And it was a very fascinating couple of weeks they spent with, or month they spent with us. Received the President's Medal of Honor at Veterans for Peace National Convention in 2003. Social Advocates for Youth, and a shout out for Louis, honored Fred in 2014 as a Volunteer of the Year for his efforts to overcome NIMBY opposition to the Dream Center located in the old Warwick Hospital, where 65 at-risk kids are safe in supportive housing, and it's a wonderful program, so Fred, thank you for that. Served 28 years on the advisory board of the Sonoma County Peace and Justice Center, and in July of 2018 led a team of American citizens to Iran, where they joined Iranians and summited 18,605-foot Mount, I thought I knew every word, Damavand, which is sacred to the Persian people. At 75, Fred was the oldest American to ever summit that mountain. This was the 11th expedition of climbers for peace, and it helped improve American-Iranian relations, which is so important to us all. So, Fred, if you would come on up, we'll give you the microphone, and I'll start talking, and you have about 20 minutes, and questions at the end for a few questions.
And this mic is on, and we can hand the other one to Jerry. Are you also going to be speaking? Okay.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us to come here, especially with tomorrow being Veterans Day. One of the issues of Veterans for Peace nationally, by the way, we have chapters in every state and in 6 countries overseas, is to reclaim Armistice Day. Because on the 11th hour of 11th month, 11th year, that was the war to end all wars. And it was a focus on a solemn remembrance of those who had died in the terrible tragedy of war. Unfortunately, in our country in 1954, it was changed to Veterans Day. And I think a large psychologically to honor the veteran and forget about the peace aspect and the wars that they fought in. So this is something that we are pretty strong on. I had 4 tours in Vietnam between 1965 and 1970. And on my very first tour, I discovered the conspiracy between the CIA and the Navy to fabricate the Tonkin Gulf incident. So I knew the war was based on a lie. And I was going to bring it public, but was threatened with being court-martialed in a sense of military prison for revealing military secrets. And I didn't have the guts to stand my ground. When I'm on my 4th tour, when I was ashore as a field intelligence officer, and I, by the way, had top secret clearance, I learned about the torture program being called the Phoenix program, run by the CIA. So it made Abu Ghraib look like a school picnic. And again, I tried to bring it public, but again, it was threatened, and I couldn't stand my ground. So I suffered from PTSD, but in my case, I would call it moral injury of bad things going on that our country was doing that I didn't have the courage to stand up against. My dad was a colonel in the Marine Corps. I went through Bougainville, Guadalcanal, Guam, and Iwo. So I was awfully lucky he had to survive all that and came home. Enough of a Marine that our family dog's name was Gung Ho. But he was an instructor at the Naval War College in 1951 and spoke out against McCarthyism. And I was called on the carpet by the Commandant, General Shoup of the Marine Corps, and said, Colonel, Marines don't get involved with politics. And my father's reply was, I have obligations as a citizen that are superior to my obligations as a Marine. Chief said, well, Colonel, I can respect your opinion, but you can tender your resignation if you want to feel that way. So he did. He loved the Corps, but his position as a citizen was superior to his position as a Marine. So before continuing, I would like to ask my partner, Terry, here to read our statement of purpose of Veterans for Peace and a couple of bullet points of what we're involved in.
Good morning, Rotarians. You all have this in front of you, but it's worth reading. It's something that we, as our chapter, read each time that we have a meeting and something. We, having dutifully served our nation, do hereby affirm the greater responsibility to serve the cause of world peace. To this end, we work with others to increase public awareness of the cost of war, to restrain our government from intervening overtly and covertly in the internal affairs of other nations, to end the arms race and to reduce and eventually eliminate nuclear weapons in our society, to seek justice for veterans and the victims of war, to abolish war as an instrument of national policy. To achieve these goals, members of the Veterans for Peace pledge to use nonviolent means and to maintain an organization that is both democratic and open, with the understanding that all members are trusted to act with the best interest of the group for the larger purpose of world peace. Our chapter in Sonoma County has about 25 members. We're very active in the Peace Bowl project, which Fred will describe in a few moments. We're also have the Peace Park, which we maintain in Rego Ranch, that'll spot many of you have been to. We've been tabling at the Barlow in the summer. David Raymond was having a good time at the Barlow.
I was not.
Good. It's interesting, you think that in those kind of events, people won't pay much attention to you because of the beer and the music and so on, but lots of people came up to the table. GIs, some of them, Fred was a naval officer, I was in the Air Force, and Strategic Air Command in Riverside at March. Put my hand on a nuclear weapon once, came right by the gas station. 7,000-pound nuclear weapon. So our chapter is active and we have a number of projects, but today I think we're going to detail the Peace Bowl project. It's something that's right local here in Sebastopol, the schools and other schools, which will hopefully tonight in the Santa Rosa School Board meeting will bear fruition. So, Greg, about that?
Yes, but before getting into because that's actually the heart of what I wanted to share with you today on the Peace Bowl project, but couple things, because it is Veterans Day, and again, one of our stated objectives is to reclaim the spirit of Armistice Day. I have a few key quotes that I'd like to share with fellow Rotarians. By the way, I'm a member of the Santa Rosa East-West Rotary Club. This is a statement from President Eisenhower in 1951. Every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies in the final sense a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and are not clothed. This world in arms is not spending money alone. It's spending the sweat of its laborers, the genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children. This is not a way of life at all in any true sense. Under the cloud of threatening war, it is humanity hanging from a cross of iron. The veterans of club in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul have embarked on called Bells for Armistice, and this is the first year they're doing that. Right on the 11th hour, the 11th day, they are asking every church, synagogue, and other place of worship to ring their bells for a minute. So it's Bells for Armistice. And it's one way to, again, the solemn recognition of the tragedy of war and not a celebration of militarism. A friend of mine, James Skinner, wrote this when he returned from Iraq a couple years ago. I was told November 11th was to remember Flanders Fields in hopes of knowing of its horrors, why war might be repealed. But now I'm thanked on Veterans Day for the service I have given. Yet heart and soul are plagued with thoughts of foreign children suffering. I want to think the bombs and drones have made a safer place, but what I see is homelessness, shock, and fear upon each face. I want to tell my captain that this strike had been an error. His curt reply, "You think too much. We're fighting the war on terror." So I wonder if my service could have helped the cause of peace. The money spent on drones and bombs have spent to bring relief. If fear was motivation for overwhelming armament or profit for big companies for defense establishment. So I reply on Veterans Day, thank your country, Doc, or Doctors Without Borders, Mercy Corps, or the Red Cross, Peace Corps, or missionaries who sacrifice for peace. As for me, I used to be a tool for those who brought much grief, but now I'm thinking clear, hoping for a better way, heal the sick, and work for peace to honor Veterans Day. We have really three focuses of our chapter. Number one is outreach, which we're doing right now, and especially going to schools. Before the pandemic hit, we spoke to every single junior at Santa Rosa High School about the true costs of war. And we have been speaking out in the community since the chapter was founded in 1991. And we've reached really thousands of young people, because I think the recruiters are out there telling you how glorious it is to go out and fight and go to foreign lands and kill other people. Which unfortunately, that is much of what today's modern military seems to be doing. So that's our number one effort. Number two is we support the Golden Rule. The Golden Rule is a sailboat that a group of brave Quakers chartered and sailed. Their goal was, this is in early 1950s, to go into the Marshall Islands where they were doing above ground nuclear tests and try to stop those tests from happening. As you would expect, they were interdicted by the Navy and the Coast Guard, and actually they were jailed for a while for this audaciousness of saying it was wrong to keep exploding nuclear weapons. They get out of the jail, but the boat kind of lost track of it. It finally ended up amazingly on a mud flat in Humboldt Bay. And it was discovered about 10 years ago. And so the local chapter of Veterans Peace decided they're going to rebuild this boat. And they spent 5 years in volunteer labor doing it. So it's a 34-foot catch. And it had been sailing for the last 5 years up and down the West Coast from San Diego, then out to Hawaii. Their plan was to go to the Marshall Islands again, and then on to Guam, and then to Hiroshima in Japan, the site of the first terrible nuclear bomb dropped on people. But they got stopped because of the pandemic. So it's right now back in its home port in Humboldt Bay being refurbished, and they'll continue on. They're going to have Terry and I and others at our chapter have all crewed on the Golden Rule. I've sailed it from Bodega Bay down to under the Golden Gate Bridge into San Francisco. But its focus is to bring attention to the risk of nuclear war, and as part of our national goal to reduce and what we make, it's not we, it's the World Peace Pole Society back in New York. They fabricate and it's plexiglass and so it's white. And the reason for this is hollow and it lasts longer under the elements. And the phrase "May peace prevail on earth" embedded into, well, then you put a 4x4, 8 foot tall in the center of it for strength and rigidity. But I understand, and I'd like to hear more about it, that your club have sponsored a number of peace poles, and you have members of this club actually fabricating a wooden pole right here. It's great. We'd love to work with you on that. So anyway, the vision of it is to be a school-driven program. So Terry and I, there have been visiting. We've visited about 12 schools thus far, and we have 2 poles have actually been installed. 7 more are waiting in a closet because of the Delta pandemic. They want to wait till things clear up a little bit, so they go into the spring. But to be a school-driven program, and I'm sure you've all heard the phrase, do they have some skin in the game? Well, I believe that. So we don't require it, but we suggest to each school that they get $100 from the PTA, get the parents involved, $100 from the staff, the teachers, administrators, get them on board, and then $100 from the students via Pennies for Peace, so that even the poorest kids can put a few pennies in and buy into the concept. And with that extra $300, the school does whatever they want. They could have a bench fabricated and put by that someone wants to sit and reflect on peace. They could have some shrubbery, landscaping around the pole. They could have a really big dedication ceremony in which you'd have maybe the mayor of Sebastopol would come, maybe your county supervisor, and have a peace essay, where all the students would write an essay about what they can do for peace. And they would have some books they would give out as prizes for the winners of the essay contest. But it's up to each school to use their own creativity and imagination of how they're going to really honor peace. So that is our #1 focus. Our bigger goal is, again, this partnership between Rotary and Veterans for Peace to dedicate a peace pole on every school campus in Sonoma County. There are 220 schools. So if you do about 25 a year, you do the math, it should be about 9-10 years before we finish this project. But it's a project worthwhile. And again, the idea to give something tangible. There are monuments all over the place for some general, some battle, but very few monuments for peace. And but you're fortunate here, you're Peace Town, USA, and you have the Living Peace Wall. And I was honored to be have my name inscribed in that wall on September 11th of this year. And my name is right below Daniel Ellsberg, one of my heroes, and across from Jimmy Carter and Nelson Mandela, so I'm in good company. So that's basically the essence of my remarks today. But one thing on all the tables is a flyer that we've been distributing about the U.S. being, the military being the #1 polluter on the planet. And if you hold that inside, you'll find out that we spend more on military than the next 10 countries together, including China and Russia. And again, another one of my heroes, Martin Luther King, said any nation that spends more money on weapons of destruction than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. And I do not want to see our country die spiritual death. So I'm open now for some questions. Oh, I'd like to someone tell me a little bit, share what you guys are doing about peace bowls.
So I'm not sure if everybody knows it, but the peace pole in front of Screaming Mimi's was done by our club. It's actually made out of redwood from my garage, and it was carved on a CNC router at Laguna High School that our club purchased for the school. And I think it would be another good project for them to do another one. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
I'd like to ask a question about your group. You obviously have a strong interest in poems. What about people, about peace fellows, people exchanges and so on? I think Rotary has a history of that kind of involvement, and I think it is related to peace.
Yes, we do outreach and especially issues of PTSD, because as you may or may not know, approximately 22 veterans are committing suicide every day. So we try to do outreach to help, so give them a safe place where they can tell their story. Because the analogy I use, if you have a wound and there's some scar tissue on there, and it's kind of festering beneath the surface, sometimes it's pretty painful to tear that scar tissue off, but you need to give it the light of day. And by letting these veterans that suffer, some, especially most young ones coming back from Iraq and from Afghanistan, you have to be able to talk about it, but they're often ashamed because they know they killed innocent people. So that's part of our effort.
Thank you, not only for your military service, but for your peace service. There's been a really fascinating program on Channel 9 on Tuesday nights about veterans. It was the third in the series yesterday, and it was about returning home and the difficulties that veterans face. Anyway, I was wondering if you'd seen it and what your thoughts were. I'm finding it very powerful.
No, unfortunately, I have not seen that, but pretty much I am a PBS junkie, so I think I'm sure it's probably very, very well done. And again, though, I think there is a war culture that is pretty deeply embedded in our country, in our society, in our government for sure. And we just need to redirect this money. We need more smart kids and more smart bombs.
I believe that the questions are there. So
I'd like to give my partner Terry, if he may have any closing remarks you'd like to make, Terry. No, he's fine. Well, I want to just thank you. This is the first time since our chapter was founded where a club, Rotary, reached out and said, we'd like you to come on Veterans Day. And really appreciate what you guys do. And keep doing it, because we need to keep rowing the peace boat in the right direction all the time. It takes all of us together.
thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Well, take a deep breath, huh? Okay, so, Michael, a moment of levity, please. And again, thank you. We needed that message, and we need to continue with that message.
Well, this may be a little less levity than we need. So a man is taking a walk in Central Park in New York City. Suddenly he sees a little girl being attacked by a pit bull. He runs over and starts fighting with the dog. He succeeds in killing the dog and saving the girl's life. A policeman who was watching the scene walks over and says, "You are a hero. Tomorrow you can read all about it in the newspaper. Brave New Yorker saved life of little girl." The man says, "But I'm not a New Yorker." "Oh, then it will say in the newspaper in the morning, Brave American saved life of little girl. The policeman answers, but I'm not an American, says the man. Oh, then what are you? The policeman asks. The man says, I'm a Saudi Arabia. So the next day, the story in the newspaper says, Islamic extremist kills innocent American dog.
Well, here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for showing in. What do you say? Should we show up next week? Yeah, could be as good as this. Yeah. If it's as good as this, let's definitely show up. So, see you next week, and you got the week afterwards off. We've moved Thanksgiving out a week. Joe,
Ready, let's go.
I'm gonna say.